recently started creating stabilized hyperlapse videos with the Insta360 X3, and today I'm going to share exactly how I do it from start to finish. It's actually really easy, and all you need is an X3 and some editing software. So first of all, I just head out to the location where I want to shoot the object. In this case, I decided to do a hyperlapse of a church. And the main thing really to look out for is just that no obstacles get between you and the object you're trying to shoot, just because that makes it really hard for the software to track the object that you're trying to center. Then all I do is just set the Insta360 X3 to the standard video mode. I actually don't set it to the time shift mode, and that's because using the standard video mode will give you more frames to work with, which will result in a smoother output. And then literally all you do is just walk around the object. Because it's a 360 camera, you don't have to worry about framing or where you're holding the camera. Just hold it above your head, and in my case I skate past the objects because I'm lazy and don't want to walk, and that's literally it for shooting the object. Now you can move onto your computer and start actually editing and putting together the hyperlapse. All right, so I've connected the X3 to my computer and I've opened the Insta360 Studio app. And here I've got the raw footage of me skating past the church. And all I have to do now is just find a spot in the footage where there's no obstacles in the way of the steeple. So currently, obviously there's some trees in the way. Trees are out of the way, so I can start tracking from here. So all I have to do is hit the deep track tool just here and draw a box around the steeple, which is where I want to track, and then hit start tracking. Now, depending on what you're trying to track, you might have some issues with the auto tracking. So just give it a go a few times if the first time doesn't come out super smooth. But I found most of the time it'll work great. So as you can see, now that it's out of view, it will lose track of the steeple. But now if I scrub through, you can see it's actually really smooth and it's done a really great job of tracking the steeple. So now I want it to end around here. So I'll just drag the endpoint in the Studio app to here, and then drag the endpoint to where the tracking starts just here. And then I can hit export and you have your base hyperlapse ready to start editing with. So then the last step is just to edit the footage into an actual hyperlapse. And you can do that in any editing software. For me, I like to use Final Cut Pro. So I've already imported the footage, and from here, I'm just going to create a new project. And of course you can do it in any format you want, but for this video, I'm going to do just a 1080 timeline, 25 frames a second. I'm just going to drag and drop my footage into the timeline. And then I'm going to add a speed effect to speed up my footage from real time. So I'm just going to use a shortcut Shift B, and that adds my speed adjustment tool. And I can just drag this until it's a lot faster. So that's what, 700%. Let's have a look and see how that looks. So that's looking pretty good, like a good starting point. Let's go a little bit faster. Yeah, I reckon that's not bad. Now from here, you can get super sophisticated and use a plugin that will stabilize your footage even more. Using the stabilized footage just straight out of the Insta360 Studio app is fine, but using a tracking plugin, it just takes it to that next level. So for me, I use Final Cut Pro Stabilizer by Pixel Film Studio. So I just drag and drop that onto the footage. And then I go to my effects tab, use the track editor, and then I can use this literally to just track that spot on the steeple. And all I have to do is hit play, and it will auto track it for me and keep it centered in the frame. So I can export the data, close that window. And if I turn on stabilization, it'll lock it to that central point. As you can see, it just gives it that extra bit of stability to take it to that next level. And now from here, there's kind of just 2 or 3 last steps just to take it up another notch. The first step is to add on a motion blur effect. So as you can see, I've got some motion blur effects that I've downloaded. You can get these online if you don't already have them. And I just sort of have a look around to see which one will look the best. So let's just try this one. And that looks pretty good to me. What it does is basically just adds some motion blur to the parts of the image that are moving. And it just helps to make the overall shot look a lot smoother, and it helps you to focus in on the part of the clip that you want the viewer to be looking at, which in this case is obviously the church. And then the last couple of steps is I just like to add a creative LUT on top. So I'll just use an adjustment layer to add a grade, and then I'll add a custom LUT. That one looks pretty good to me. And then I might even add just a little bit of a rotation and a scale just to give it a bit of extra visual interest. So if we come down to our transform and we set an in point and then a rotation point. If we finish it here, bit of a scale in and a rotation, give it a second to render, and then let's see how that looks. As you can see, I might just cut that little part off at the end where we lose the track. And as you can see, that turned out really well. So that is how I've been creating my recent Hyperlapse videos on my Instagram account. Let me know if you've got any questions or comments. Don't forget to check out my creative tech playlist. And other than that, I hope you have an amazing day and I'll see you very soon in the next video.